Hi, I'm Rowan. I'm 25. I worked 2 jobs, never missed rent. Thought I was lucky to have parents who supported me through school. Then, on my birthday, they handed me a suitcase and told me to leave. No warning. No thanks. Just, we need the space. But what hurt more wasn't the eviction. It was what I found out after, that the people I trusted to lift me up had been pocketing my scholarship for 4 years behind my back. Ever been used by the people who swore they were helping you? Drop a comment. You're not alone. It started with the smell. I walked into our 2-bedroom rental in Ann Arbor, still wearing my part-time library badge, and immediately knew something was off. Not just the stale air or the faint scent of microwaved meatloaf. No. It was the way my mom, Linda, didn't look up from her tablet. The way my dad, Stephen, barely glanced away from the muted news on TV. There was no happy birthday, no cheap balloon, no crooked candle cake, not even a sarcastic joke. Just silence, and a duffel bag on the hallway bench. I stared at it for a second, confused. "Whose bag is that?" I asked, trying to force my voice into something casual. Dad stood up slowly, as if the whole thing bored him. "Yours," he said. "We packed it earlier." I blinked. I don't understand. Mom still didn't look up. She just crossed her arms. "Rowan, you're almost done with school. It's time. We need the space." I laughed, just a quick breath of disbelief. "You're kicking me out? On my birthday?" Dad shrugged. "You're not a kid anymore. And this isn't some kind of charity." My hands were still on the strap of my backpack, frozen. I hadn't even taken off my shoes. What got me the most wasn't the timing. It wasn't even the words. It was the way they said it, like it was practical. Routine. Like I was a subscription they were finally canceling. I stood there for a moment, waiting for one of them to soften, to smile, to say this was a joke. But no one said anything. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just nodded. "Okay." That's all I said. Then I picked up the bag, my bag apparently, and stepped back out into the hallway. No hug, no goodbye, not even the sound of the door closing behind me. Just the weight of a birthday no one wanted to remember. And a silence that told me maybe I'd been nothing more than convenient all along. Naomi didn't ask questions when I showed up at her apartment with a half-packed duffel bag and red eyes. She just opened the door wider, handed me a pair of fuzzy socks, and said, "You're not sleeping on that floor. Take the bed." That first night, I barely slept. My brain kept replaying the moment my dad said, "This isn't charity," as if I'd been freeloading. As if I hadn't been working 2 jobs to stay in school and cover groceries. As if I wasn't their daughter. The next morning, I pulled out my laptop at Naomi's tiny kitchen table and logged into my university portal. I needed to transfer my class schedules and figure out my next steps. That's when I saw it, something that stopped me cold. My financial aid status had been flagged for review. Confused, I clicked through my records. I'd received a full-ride merit scholarship starting freshman year, tuition, books, and a $1,500 month living stipend, but I'd never seen that money directly. Mom always said, "The school just applies it straight to your bills, sweetie." Except they didn't. Not entirely. My scholarship file showed the stipend had been sent every month to an authorized account set up under a parental custodial transfer. The name on that account? Linda Graves. My mom. I sat there staring at the screen, heart thudding so hard I could hear it over Naomi's sink faucet. Every month for almost 4 years, that money had gone to them. While I budgeted every dollar, skipped meals, said no to spring breaks, told myself they were sacrificing so much for me. I thought they were paying for my education. They were getting paid by it. I didn't cry. I didn't throw my laptop across the room. I just opened a new tab and filed a financial discrepancy report to the scholarship office, attached the screenshots, clicked submit. Then I walked over to Naomi, who was stirring soup in a chipped blue pot. "Hey," I said, voice quiet. "Want to hear something messed up?" She listened, quietly, carefully. When I was done, she didn't say I'm sorry. She said, "You should have gotten that money, all of it." I nodded. I know. And maybe some of you know what that feels like too, finding out the people you trusted most were the ones who held you back quietly, day after day, behind your back. If that's ever happened to you, I hope you drop a comment, or at least take this as your reminder. It's not selfish to take back what was always yours. I closed my laptop that night knowing one thing for sure. They didn't just kick me out, they cashed me out first. I didn't scream, I didn't confront them, I just unplugged. After submitting the financial report, I spent the rest of that weekend sorting through every digital string that still tied me to my parents. Turns out, there were a lot more than I realized. The first was the bank account, a joint one my mom had set up for emergencies when I started college. Funny how the only emergencies were theirs. I transferred the remaining balance to a new student account under my name only, then clicked the button that said Close Joint Access. It asked, "Are you sure?" I clicked yes without flinching. Next came the school contact list. Mom had always been listed as my financial point of contact. She'd insisted on it, saying it just made things easier. I deleted her name, added mine, and sent a message to the scholarship office. Please direct all future communication to me. No one else is authorized to handle my financial aid. Then came the hardest part, the phone. I stared at their names, Mom and Dad, as if the titles still meant something. But after everything, those were just names tied to bills I didn't know I'd been paying, to silence I'd mistaken for care. Block, block. And then the texts stopped. Naomi noticed the change in me by Monday. "You're breathing quieter," she said while pouring coffee. "I'm just tired," I replied. But it wasn't the kind of tired that sleep could fix. It was the kind of tired that comes from realizing you were the only one holding something together, and maybe you shouldn't have been. That night, I sat on the edge of Naomi's couch, wrapped in a thrifted blanket, and made a list in my notes app. Shared bank account, closed university contact, updated access to school portal, secured financial aid fraud report, submitted family numbers, blocked. Each checkmark felt like reclaiming one breath at a time. I didn't tell them what I was doing, didn't give them the chance to explain or twist it back on me. I wasn't punishing them. I was protecting myself. And if you've ever cut someone off, not with a bang, but with a quiet no more, you know it's not easy. But sometimes silence is the loudest boundary you can set. By midnight, the digital cords were severed. And for the first time in years, I went to bed not wondering what they needed from me, but what I needed from the rest of my life. It started with a missed call from an unknown number, then 2, then 5. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The silence I'd left behind was finally starting to echo, and not in my head, this time. On Tuesday morning, Naomi found me hunched over my laptop, staring at a new email from the financial aid office. Funds for your monthly stipend are now being redirected to your verified personal account, it read. Attached was a formal notice. Parental access removed. Custodial designation revoked. Effective immediately. I didn't smile. I didn't celebrate. I just exhaled quietly, like I'd been holding my breath for 4 years without knowing it. That afternoon, the texts began. Mom. Rowan, honey, there's a problem with the bank transfer. Can you check? Dad. Need you to send that rent payment. The mortgage bounces without it. Unknown. You think this is how family behaves? I didn't reply. They didn't ask if I was okay. They didn't ask where I was staying. They just wanted the money to keep flowing. Just wanted the machine I'd unknowingly powered to keep running. And when it didn't, they panicked. Naomi came home that night with a grocery bag and a raised brow. You're officially on the urgent contact list. Your mom left a voicemail asking if I'd convince you to be reasonable. I shook my head. They miss control, not me. Over the next few days, the consequences rippled. The family phone plan, still under my name, was suspended. The car insurance renewal bounced. The utilities tied to our address flagged for overdue updates. Because one by one, I'd removed every card, every connection, every link they thought they could keep using. They tried calling my old advisor at the university, tried emailing the scholarship committee, saying there must have been a mistake. But there wasn't. The only mistake was thinking I would stay quiet forever. Some of you know what that moment feels like. The one where people stop pretending to care and start showing who they've always been. If you've lived that, drop a comment. You're not crazy for walking away. You're brave for finally doing it. Late Thursday night, Naomi and I were watching reruns in the dark when she said, they're not mad you left. They're mad you left on your own terms. I didn't answer right away, but I thought about how quiet my phone was now, how I no longer flinched at every buzz, how freedom didn't feel like fireworks, it felt like stillness. That night, I slept through without waking up once, not because everything was fixed, but because finally, I wasn't the one being used to hold it all together. It wasn't revenge, it was clarity. And clarity comes quietly, like a curtain finally drawn back after years of pretending the light wasn't there. The article came out on a Monday morning, a feature in the university paper. When family becomes the middleman, how parental control is silencing student voices. I didn't write it, but I didn't have to. The reporter, a senior journalism major named Lexi, had been looking into cases like mine. Students who never saw their own scholarships, stipends, or even emails. She heard whispers about a girl who found out her parents had pocketed 4 years' worth of scholarship funds behind her back. Lexi reached out. I agreed to talk, only if she kept my name anonymous. I didn't want drama. I wanted the truth to stand on its own. The story spread faster than I expected. By noon, 3 other students messaged me. People I barely knew, saying the exact same thing happened to them. My mom controlled my financial portal until last semester. My dad took out loans in my name without asking. My parents told me they were covering tuition. They weren't. It was like striking a nerve that had been aching under the surface for years. That evening, I got a message from a professor I'd only taken 1 class with. He said, "Thank you for being brave. Some of us had no idea how bad it was for some students. You deserved better." I didn't cry, but something in me softened, because for once, someone saw me. Not as the quiet, capable daughter, not as the lucky full-ride kid, but as the person who had been carrying a lie that wasn't hers to begin with. Meanwhile, my parents were spiraling. Texts turned to voicemails. Voicemails turned to long Facebook posts, vague, dramatic, and dripping in self-pity. Some people forget who raised them. After everything we gave up, this is the thanks we get? But this time, no one clapped for their performance. In the comments, people pushed back, "Didn't she pay for your phone plan? Heard she worked 2 jobs through college. Funny how no one knew about this scholarship money till now." That night, Naomi and I walked down to a little coffee shop near campus. The barista handed me my drink with a warm smile and said, "If that article was about you, good for you." I smiled. Didn't confirm, didn't deny. But as we sat by the window and watched the sun go down behind the bell tower, I whispered, "They told their version of the story for years. I'm just giving mine a chance to breathe." And sometimes, that's all the justice you need. The apartment was small, 2nd floor, 3 windows, creaky floors, and a heater that made this faint, rattling hum like it was always halfway to giving up. But it was mine. I signed the lease 2 weeks after the article went viral, used the remainder of my last stipend payment to cover the deposit, bought a secondhand couch, a mismatched set of dishes, and a blue mug that said, "You got this," in fading white letters. Naomi helped me move. When we finished, we sat on the bare floor, splitting a takeout sandwich and drinking Sprite out of mismatched mason jars. She raised hers. "To starting over," she said. I clinked mine gently against hers. "To never going back." That night, I unpacked a small cardboard box I hadn't opened since the day I left. Inside were a few old notebooks, a broken pair of headphones, and one last thing, a tiny plastic cake topper, a number 2 and a number 5 still stuck together with crusted icing residue from my birthday. The birthday they kicked me out. I held it in my palm for a long time. Not crying, not angry, just still. Then I placed it on the top shelf of my bookcase, alone, quiet, like a private trophy. Not to remember the pain, but to honor the version of me that didn't let it break her. A few days later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Just one line, written in careful looping handwriting. "You were never hard to love. Some people just never learned how to treat you right. I never found out who sent it. Didn't need to. Now most days are quiet. I work at the university's student resource office, helping other kids navigate the maze I barely survived. I walk to work. I cook pasta badly. I rearrange furniture more often than necessary. And for the first time in a long time, I sleep through the night. Not because I've forgotten everything, but because it doesn't control me anymore. If you're still reading this, maybe you've lived it too. Maybe your goodbye didn't come with closure. Maybe you've been taught to think walking away is betrayal. But let me tell you something I wish someone had told me earlier. Walking away from people who refuse to see your worth is not betrayal. It's survival. So if you've ever had to start over from scratch, with nothing but your name and a few bruises to your pride, tell me in the comments. Tell me what helped you keep going. Because in the end, you don't owe anyone your silence. Not when the truth has been waiting this long to be heard.